Hello and welcome back to Bourbon Barrel Talk. I'm your host, Scott Minton. Today we're back in the Brock Bourbon Bar, and we are killing it with some new samples coming in from Wilderness Trail, and we are going to try their brand new 8-year bottled and bond weeder. So, Jared, I think you got the dirty details on this bad boy. Do you want to read that in for us and tell us about the press release?
Yes, sir. This is from Fred Minnick's website. Wilderness Trail will release its wheated 8-year bottle and bond bourbon in its gift shop on August 23rd. It was distilled using the same mash bill and process as the distillery's flagship wheated bourbon, which was released in April of 2018. The bourbon's mash bill is 64% corn, 24% wheat, and 12% barley.
And don't go into tasting notes.
It is distilled using a sweet mashing process.
Okay. And then does it have tasting notes? Because I know Fred, he usually puts tasting notes.
The bourbon used in the blend was distilled in the distillery's pot still. Ooh, it's pot stilled. Interesting.
Yeah.
Price is $88 plus tax. It'll also be available in select retailers in Kentucky beginning August 28th.
Okay.
There's no tasting notes.
Good deal. All right. Well, hot diggity dang. So
it is a small batch release.
Small batch, 8 years. It's bottled in bonds.
18 barrels.
It's 18 barrels. It's okay. So it's very small batch in consideration, really. And it's going to be bottled in bonds, so it's going to be 100 proof. So this wheated bourbon, and it's got a crazy nose on this thing.
It smells fantastic.
Yeah, it really does.
Sweet.
Yep. It's got some baking spice.
Yeah.
It's got some really nice hint of like tobacco.
There's something else in there that's really rich.
There's something really sweet, almost floral-ish.
Yep. I would agree with that.
But I can't.
Well, we were talking earlier about
That baking spice, though, man. That is definitely, it's like cardamom. It's got a little bit of like some pepper or some kind of spice to it.
You get like a
There we go.
hayloft.
What's that?
A hayloft, or like an old barn. What you would smell in the upper level of an old barn. And I don't know, maybe that's the corn coming through, or
I'm not
It's
disagreeing
possible.
with you. It does have a little bit of like that dusty type
Kind of
quality.
I agree with that. I see what you're getting at. I don't necessarily think it's hayloft, but I see where you're getting. I see what you're talking about.
It's real funny, dude. Like, I don't know. I'm going to try it here.
Let's look at them legs.
It's almost like it's got a weird grainy like note to it too.
My lighting is terrible right now.
Dude, it's got fantastic legs.
Oh,
It's
there
got
we go.
legs
Now I
for
see 'em.
days.
Oh my god. Oh, they're sticking like crazy too, though.
all right, let's pull this shit.
Let's do it. I'll clear some dead air. Scott swishing. John and Barbara are sipping. What are you getting, Barbs? Anything good?
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
Hey.
We're getting some delightful looks.
Have you tasted it, you doofus?
No. I was
So-
killing the dead air.
So oddly, with a little bit of that, even though it's a weeder, it's got some nice like some pepper. It's got some cardamom. I swear to you, not, dude. Like if I didn't know any better, it was like oatmeal in the mid palate,
I could see that.
just like the faintest bit of like
It's
a
baking spice heavy.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that
It's very
it's like that
spice heavy.
little bit of like cardamom, a little bit of like maybe nutmeg, but it tastes.
It's still got that grainy, and I think that's where that oatmeal is
yeah,
coming.
there's like
It's that
this like
grainy
oatmeal,
something.
like weird like
All back of the palate.
Like a milled
Yeah.
grain.
Yeah.
type
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
like a milled like fresh oatmeal. Like
It
I
kind
don't
of
know.
Nick is very happy with your notes, Scott. Maybe not mine, but with yours.
Dude.
It like bleeds
It's good.
really nicely from the front palate right into the mid too.
Mm-hmm.
Like I get sometimes I don't get one or the other easily, but I get both very strongly.
So
Do you have the tasting notes, Scott?
I do have the tasting notes that Fred put on there. Oddly enough, there definitely hit a couple of these. There was a couple that I did miss, which
Okay.
that he had. So he said cardamom, black pepper, oats. He said there's definitely some chocolate caramel, some honey, and
I
little
told
bit
you
of
sweet.
Yeah, you did. I got sweet too, but it wasn't. But I couldn't distinguish. It was like it wasn't hitting caramel and it wasn't hitting honey either.
right.
But yes, there was
Yeah.
like that sweetness, but it wasn't like a brown sugar, so
No,
I
it
couldn't
wasn't.
tip it. The other funny part was he said wheat toast, so like that other grainy stuff that I was talking
Yeah.
about. So that's
yeah,
kind of
all
weird.
that grain.
It also said with a slight citrus at the end, which now that I read that, like I do get a little bit of citrus.
Yeah. Back palate.
The very, very back palate.
Yeah.
It's just a little bit of like light citrus. I would say like a mandarin orange or something like that. That's what I would put it on, but I don't know what his citrus would be. So
I think that grain is what I was trying to. I said hayloft, which wasn't
Yeah.
accurate, but now that the grain
no,
is in the tasting
no,
note,
100%.
That
yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah. Like
It's different.
like that wheat filled grain
Yeah.
instead of hay wheat. Yeah, I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
it definitely makes sense for
absolutely.
sure.
It's different. It's good.
Wow,
it's
that's
different.
really
that's
good.
amazing.
For a weeder, it's not.
No.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
much more complicated than most weeders that
It's
I
also
drink.
not as, I don't want to say not as sweet, but it's not as sweet.
It's not.
It's got a
you
nice
know.
spicy finish on
Yeah.
it, I think.
No, it's
But
quite
it's-
delicious.
But it drinks almost like 85 proof.
Now, this being a bottle and bond small batch, do you know the ratio between like how many small batch or not small batch, but how many bottle and bonds are single barrels versus small batches?
So
Is one more popular than the other?
Well, I mean, bottled and bond is just with a small batch is a small batch, right?
Right,
It's a certain number of barrels that they usually use, and usually different distilleries will consider a small batch a different amount. Some
This
use-
is a very small batch.
yes, it's a very small batch. Being as
18
large
barrels.
as Wilderness Trail is, for only being 18 barrels, it's a very small batch. That being said, a small batch for Starlight might be 6 or 8 barrels, right? Like it would be much smaller in that situation. We're gonna water.
Yes.
Okay. I saw the look on your face there.
That was the
so
happiest you've looked all night.
Jesus.
That's what she said.
I'm just glad it's over. So are you ecstatic about the nose or the palate?
Palate.
Okay. Because to me, the nose,
The nose
I wasn't get.
Yeah, the nose is not as good with water.
No.
I think it's gone. Like I don't get as much.
I just get spice. I just get pepper. I get a little bit of citrus.
But you lose that complexity.
Yeah, you lose some of those sweet notes on the nose when you add water. Okay, I said that, but now the more I swish it and the more it opens up, I'm getting some tobacco, getting a little bit of leather.
So that's
and the
interesting.
caramel's popping now on the nose too.
Yep.
You lose all the grain, but you get a lot of the sweetness back.
That
It's
sweet
like-
just hits hard.
It's different. It's like a totally different whiskey, almost.
And it is wheat heavy.
I think that
It is, but it's funny. The water now to me, I'm getting more of that chocolate caramel. I'm getting a little bit more of those
It's a
heavier
lot of
citrus
those-
notes.
It's a lot more of the more sweeter aspects
Yep.
than the weedy.
Yeah, the complexity that he was
complexity.
talking about on the palate more.
Yeah.
I'm getting a little bit more of that now that we add a little bit more water to it.
it's almost like the thickens it up a little bit, which sounds weird.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the mouthfeel and the finish, like as
a
you're
good way
just
to
sitting there,
describe
just kind of doing the Kentucky Chew, like just no whiskey.
and I
It's-
think that's where Scott's coming into play, is where it's coming into that caramel and the chocolate. All of those things typically will coat your mouth to begin with.
Yeah.
And because you're getting those flavors now, that's where you're getting that coat feeling.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's a lot sweeter on
I
the
mean,
mid palate.
like, holy cow.
With water.
But you're going from 100 proof to what? Maybe you went it down to 95. Maybe you went to 90. I mean, I don't know what ratios you messed with there, but
I literally put 2 tiny drops.
I
right.
put one drop.
Yeah, I put 1 drop in mine.
But you all had a lot less than I did.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'll tell you what though, you don't totally lose the spice though.
No, you don't.
You don't.
It's all, but it's
more
much
in the
more.
back.
It's much more shifted back.
Yep.
You lose the graininess that was back palate. The mid palate that was the spice is shifted to the back palate.
Yep.
And the front and mid palate are a lot sweeter.
Yeah.
And it's got such a nice, like, even just smelling the empty Glen.
Glen.
It's just got this really, really nice leather tobacco. And that sugar is popping a little bit.
Dude,
I still don't get honey,
finish
though.
kills.
I never got
Yeah.
honey originally, so I'm still not picking that up. But
Yeah, I
it's
get
definitely
a little
sweeter
bit
now.
more of the caramel, chocolatey, like citrus, like those type of things with the water for sure.
I
But
might get more, not necessarily honey, but almost like a molasses. It's like a darker sweet.
There might be some of the chocolate coming through, too.
Right.
Yeah.
see, I'd equate it almost to like more like maple syrupy, not quite as dark as molasses.
Sorghum?
No,
No.
that would be a really sweet dark too.
Yeah. Dang it.
Like that between honey and like
Yeah.
sorghum. Between so maple
yeah.
syrup's about the only thing I can come up with. It's almost like pancake syrup.
I can see that.
Like Aunt Jemima's, like that
Yeah.
little bit of sweetness.
Can I ask a stupid question?
You only
always
do.
What in God's green earth is the difference between maple syrup and pancake syrup?
So maple syrup is actually maple syrup. Pancake syrup is like a blend of different sugars and simples and things like that.
Pancakes
There's usually
more
maple
modified,
syrup in it.
Yeah.
You just said maple syrup is maple syrup. That's basically
It's the
saying
syrup
an
from
apple
a maple
is an
tree.
apple.
Okay, you're right.
yeah,
that is
but
basically
still.
exactly like saying that. But maple syrup is actually made from maples, right?
Okay.
Maple trees.
Okay.
pancake syrup can be a blend of multiple
amalgamation.
things, right?
There you
Yeah.
go.
Got it. Okay.
So,
Okay.
and a lot of times it's like cane syrup and things like that are
Okay.
mixed with other things, and that's how
Yeah,
they
yeah,
make.
I'm guessing you didn't
make
have a lot of
pancake
maple syrup in your house growing up, did you?
always
Jerry?
Most people
thought
didn't. I mean,
pancake-
how many
everybody
people-
calls pancake syrup maple syrup, anyways.
A lot of people do, but
Yeah.
it's not the same.
Yeah. Well,
No, it's not.
It's not the same.
No.
Pancake syrup is a
saying it's not.
much sweeter syrup than maple syrup.
Got
It is.
it.
So that's how I would distinguish the two.
Got it.
To me, pancake syrup, Aunt Jemima or Mrs. Buttersworth or those type of things are way sweeter than regular maple syrup.
Oh,
would be.
that
maple
makes me
syrup.
want to do a pancake and bourbon night. That would be fun.
Dude, I would fuck some
Oh.
pancakes up with some
I
bourbon.
think we'll host a pancake bourbon night at the Den of Thieves sometime.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
bring-
Nick can do it too. He just was looking at us like, "Hi."
I was about to say, dude.
He's giving the
I don't
Rocky
know, but
Balboa
y'all
over
got one
there.
of them 36-inch griddles. We can do like 10 at a time. That's the way to roll, dog. I'm telling you, man. And then
You get one of those cool little
I,
bloop, bloop,
I actually
bloop
heat the
things.
maple
No, we
syrup
don't have
up in a
that.
little glass
Oh, yeah.
carafe on top of the thing while everything's cooking, and then that way when he comes in, it just pours over everything. And I usually put just a really, really thin layer of peanut butter on each pancake in between each one, and then on the very top I put a layer of bananas, and then just pour all my syrup on top. Oh my god,
Damn. Elvis
So
right
good.
over here.
so good, so good.
I know it's not the same, but does anyone go to Waffle House?
Okay, now see that's a cheat of a griddle. I'm talking about like the Blackstone, dog.
I think that's the same
I've got
griddle
one.
I
I just got to clean it
actually.
up.
Not that doesn't work. Nick's got the electric griddle.
I'm pretty sure
so
that's the same griddle I got.
it would work perfectly
Dude,
fine
the
to make
Blackstones, those
pancakes.
things are nice looking. Sorry, back to the whiskey.
Yeah, back
This
to
thing
it.
is
Squirrel.
just, it's still holding its
Oh,
nose.
I know. That nose
It does.
is
It's
amazing.
amazing,
Yep.
yeah.
So
I'm not going to lie. That finish, I'm not going to say it's still there, but I mean, it's still just hanging in my...
it's got a
I can-
Kentucky hug,
it's-
especially for that 100 proof.
So
You said
I'm
the-
not really feeling it going down. I'm still feeling it on the very, very back of my tongue.
On the sides?
right.
Just on the sides. Yeah,
Yeah,
on the
me
sides.
too.
Right there.
So I'll say this is probably one of the top 5 Wilderness Trails pours I've had so far.
Absolutely.
What else would
I've
you
had
throw up there just out of curiosity?
I've had a couple of single barrel ryes that I thought were absolutely phenomenal. Of the weeded bourbons, I've had one other one that was a single barrel that was absolutely delicious. But I mean, this is up there with some of the top pours I've had from them. So,
Any regular bourbons?
yeah, I mean the regular bourbons are perfectly fine too. I
Just not top, not up there?
just not in the top 5.
Yeah. No,
yeah,
that's fine.
no.
And that's fine. I was
Yeah.
just curious.
No, I mean I love their regular bourbon.
Picking your
big
brain.
fan of the regular bourbon.
Yeah.
I'm a massive fan of their rye though. I love Wilderness Trail rye.
Oh, sorry.
They
That's
just
off
they
top.
just they just hit different.
I think compared to other weeded bourbons, it holds its own. Pretty
It does
strong.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
And what was the mash bill again?
It's different though. 60 something. It was 12% barley.
64.
64 corn.
Hang on. 64 corn, 24 wheat, 12 barley.
Okay, so that's a high wheat.
High weight.
So
Very, very high weight.
because I think
Yep.
like even makers and things like that I
Okay.
think are in the 17-18%.
Yeah.
So
I think it's
was
usually
gonna
more
say.
in that.
Yeah.
Trying to remember back to that mash bill episode we did.
Right.
I wonder if the 64% corn being kind of, I don't want to say low, but kind of low, if that's why it's not as sweet as a normal wheat we're used to, maybe?
I
don't know.
No, I think a lot of times you have a high corn, low wheat, low malted barley ratio.
Okay.
I think it's more in that like 70, like 16, 18, you know, and then the rest is, yeah. 10 is like malted barley.
Do you speculate this is just going to be like only available at the distillery? They're
But it
not
said
gonna be
released
able to-
partially in Kentucky and then
Yeah.
at the distillery mainly.
Yep.
So there
Yeah.
might be a couple bottles scattered around
Yeah.
for
yeah,
people
so
to
I mean,
get.
talking
They're gonna be-
18 barrels, 8 years old, you're going to get 150-ish per barrel. So what's that number? 18 times 150, you're looking at what, 2,100 bottles roughly?
Let's see how close you are.
27.
2,700?
Yes.
Oh, I forgot to carry one. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, so
That
Good
would mean
pour.
20.
Good pour.
Never mind.
Shut
What?
up, Jared.
It's gonna make a
I didn't add 2 of my numbers there. Yeah, I was just, carried one. But yeah, anyway. So
All right.
I think it's a fantastic pour. Great job to Shane and Pat up there at Wilderness Trail. We greatly appreciate y'all sending us the sample up to review over the show. We'll get it
Absolutely.
out there.
Thank you.
Anything else? Any other good things for the crime there?
I'd love more, but I think we'll have to be set with what we got.
We'll have to be satisfied. That's
Yep.
right. So we appreciate it. Thanks so much, guys. If you want to find Bourbon Barrel Talk, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, or the Twitter. You can also email us at bourbonbarreltalk@gmail.com. Make sure you hit the subscribe button whenever you're trying to get our episodes every Sunday. My bad. It's not Twitter anymore. It's X, isn't it?
X.
Yeah.
X.
I just wish
Send
they would
out
have just
your
said
Zeets.
triple X since,
Are they called Zeets
since the Twitter is unrated, right? Or something.
Unfiltered.
Unfiltered.
Yeah,
They should just
yeah.
call it triple X.
Triple X. That
Yeah.
makes
I
sense.
see some titty on there every now and then. Anyway.
That's what Scott's Google's
I'm
for.
sure you could probably, if you looked hard
No,
enough, you
it's
could.
just one of those funny things. You know how some people like the spam stuff comes through, and I'm like, "Whoa, what are you doing?" And I didn't realize that was legal on Twitter. So, anyway, that's our episode of Bourbon Barrel Talk. We appreciate you listening. This is Scott, Jared, Barbara, and Johnny Tsunami signing off. Peace.
Deuces.
Peace.
There can be only one.